Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's up, dude? I almost forgot my role, but it's okay.
I almost did. And on the sticks, we got TJ.
Oh, I
Hello.
didn't really hear. There you go.
There you
Sorry,
go.
I had myself muted.
And of course, welcoming back, we got Jiurn, the founder of Inscripedia. Thank you for joining us again, man.
Thank you for hosting me.
Yeah, man.
Hell
It's
yeah.
cool that we could intro you with the name of your project. Because last time we I don't think we actually
No, we didn't.
we intentionally didn't
It
name
was
drop
not
it.
live.
Right? So yeah, it's Inscripedia. It's here. It's and your first, I guess, launch is happening tomorrow, right? So give us like the background about what happened like 4 or 5 months ago when we were first kind of talking about this concept of introducing basically a new market vertical into the Ordinals space. And now it's like literally a day away, right? So what's been happening? Catch us up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has happened since our last real talk here. So basically, I did introduce Inscripedia in June this year, which is like the first decentralized publishing house, and basically an all-in platform for authors wanting to get published on Bitcoin. Basically, like my favorite art medium is like writing. Like that's why I write daily threads in general. For me, writing has always been like my go-to art, because I just like I do other stuff, but it's really this that is my biggest passion. And I really was in 2020 trying, like I didn't have a book, but like I wanted to get published or see how it worked. Then I really understood that the publishing industry, like sometimes people are like, oh shit, there's a lot of gatekeeping in crypto. Well, it's nothing compared to the publishing industry. Like it's truly a disaster, and not only in for authors, but in so many other art mediums like music.
Yeah.
Like one of my friends, like Violetta, recently, she had like 600,000 streams on her Spotify. She received $0 exactly.
Right.
Where does that go? Like platforms nowadays, they're too centralized and they don't help artists anymore. And that's why I decided to create Inscripedia using like Bitcoin's security layer that is like the safe now. Because of Ordinals, Bitcoin became the safest data storage in the world. Anything you put on there will most likely outlive us, and is the safest place to put data, or like in this case, in my case, books. So before Ordinals, you could always like put .text in inscriptions, but it's not really, you can read it, and that's the main purpose. But when you read, you want to live an experience too. And that's why we created our standard called BRC 600K. That is 600K, just you can read it as a book.
Yeah.
That's why we decided that. It's
a great name.
I think we realized that like whenever we were
like 600,000.
Yeah, we covered that the new standard. I mean, as we were doing that in the video, we realized it was like book.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the intention, right?
Yeah, I mean that is kind of just funny. Like like the number doesn't really matter, so we just decided to make it look like book.
That's a good idea.
And basically, like now using our standard, we made it super easy on Inscripedia. Because our goal is also like to onboard Web2 users, eventually. The goal is, how did inscription become so popular? It was because it was super accessible. It was easier to inscribe than to mint an NFT on OpenSea. You just put your JPEG, whatever, then you click on inscribe, you paid on your wallet, and it was super simple, right? And that's what we want with Inscripedia. You have a book, you just put your PDF or .text, and now we're working on having standard work with EPUB. You just slide it there. You have what's your author's name, like what's your name. If you want to create a book collection, supply, price, and it's super easy. You just fill up the boxes. 2 minutes. We posted 2 videos. It took us under 1 minute to first publish a book and to create a book collection. And we made it so any author on Inscripedia gets 100% of the mint revenue. So if you go on there, you sell 100 books for $100, you get $10,000. We don't keep any of the mint revenue, and you get all the you keep all the IP and everything, and we made it so like in real life, what does the book industry look like? Libraries, bookstores, and publishing houses. These are the three pillars to the publishing/book ecosystem. So we created the publishing industry by Inscripedia. Anybody can inscribe super easily, publish, and it just shows on Inscripedia. We also have the library aspect because it's super easy. The goal of Inscripedia is to easily browse any book on Bitcoin. For now, we do not have all the books that have been inscribed on Bitcoin because it's super hard to find all of the books that have been inscribed in the 76 million inscription. For this, we need like an on-chain indexer, but it is in our plans to get it. And every book that is inscribed on Inscripedia is automatically added on Inscripedia. And the goal is to really make it like the Google of like the internet, right? Like internet is like Bitcoin Ordinals, and then Inscripedia is just the place you go to browse and find and read any text inscriptions you look for. And the last one, which are bookstores, that is our marketplace that is going to be live in the next 2-3 months. So we made it so all the publishing and book infrastructure is 100% on Bitcoin, super safe, you know. And for now, we're 100% bootstrap. We don't have like I've paid it with like what I've gained in my life because we don't want VCs to tell us what to do. We have, and our goal is to become a decentralized platform to help authors make a living off their art. That's what we want, you know. For now, we'll start with Web3 authors. Books are not a thing in blockchain industry overall, and we want to change that. Visual art is very popular, PFPs, for sure, like paintings, stuff like that, and we've seen a couple of projects, but none have really took off. And I'm way aware of that, and I understood why a lot of these projects never worked, because they didn't like. At some point, I understand you want to create a publishing house, but you need to understand the industry you're in. If you don't create, money aligned opportunities for your community or for the overall ecosystem, then right now, considering the maturity of our ecosystem, your company cannot work. And that's why we created Season 0, Casey's collection, and it's the mint going on tomorrow in less than 24 hours. Like right now, I have 3 of my dad that didn't sleep last night. I slept like 4 hours just to make sure like we had to, because we're going live on Inscripedia. We're creating everything. Wallet, we had to create a whole new, we had a launch pad because, little story for those that don't know, we tried to launch a month and a half ago, you being a 100% public mint. The thing is, because we wanted to be as fair as possible, and there's no way to be more fair than giving everybody the exact same opportunity. But what happened? We got butted hard, DDoS, we had hundreds of thousands of requests, and our website just wasn't ready for that. And when we blocked the front end, if people came by the back end, it was a whole mess, blah, blah. And we were like, and then eventually more than half the supply got minted. And we were like, but people were like, we had so many problems that we were like, you know what? This is not what we want, a lot of people that got them were like flexing on the timeline, and they were like, hey, like I'm gonna dump it. Like they didn't care about the purpose of the project. They just wanted to flip it. And we understand this motive, and it's something that we need to take into consideration when you build a project in Web3 right now.
100%.
It's not the main purpose or anything like that. At the end, it's books, it's art. So we decided to refund everyone to make it fair again. And we collaborated with like 1,000 communities to give as many communities as possible a chance. Now we've relaunched with a whitelist. We created a new type of, we not created it, but we didn't have it before. So we had to add it on our website, make it more secure. We had to hire a bunch of new devs to improve the platform, because I truly believe in this. Art it is made for Bitcoin. Okay, art belongs on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a premium blockchain, and we want authors to be able to launch their art there, to have their art live forever, and to create the library of Alexandria on Bitcoin. That is the purpose of Inscripedia. We want to help authors make a living of their art and truly, make it live and really make them embrace their artistic side.
So, Jiurn, I'm curious. So when people upload their books onto Inscripedia, is there a specific standard that you prefer? Like, is it PDF? What is the standard that you want the authors to follow?
Currently, we have two different standards that we allow. It's .text and PDF. Okay. We do prefer PDF. As you know, it's a standardized model, so like all the books are the same. .text, and we make it look like your book. When you publish through a PDF file, you can flip the pages. Yeah. It's just more beautiful. It looks more like a collectible item. Yeah. At the end, art, on Bitcoin, especially, and even in the world, is made to be appreciated. You just can experience the art, whether it's a painting or a book. And in many cases, you get to really collect it, And that text is just kind of boring. So we made it, flippable, far from perfect, and we will, improve it for the next years until we have forever in a way. But now only PDF, the text. We encourage PDF, and we will add the EPUB to our standard very soon.
I see. Yeah, because I was wondering when you're doing the indexing for the 76 million inscriptions, a lot of it is text, and so it'll be a challenge to figure out what is part of a book or a poem or whatever. And then add it to the platform.
Exactly. As we know, just the SATS BRC20 is 20 million inscriptions itself.
Yeah.
BRC20s are probably 85%, I'd say, of the inscriptions only. And then there's images. I know on art.io, they're really separating them. And it will be very hard to add all the books. That's why we are planning pretty soon. We would love to have very extremely good devs that are I would say specialized in that. We have good dev, very good dev, but there's sometimes people in the space that are truly something else. And because we know it will take months, and we are working to create a very fair way to prove it, right? Unfortunately, we have so many things to build that the on-chain indexer is not in our immediate priorities, because as I said earlier, there are so many projects that tried, not a lot, but there's many projects that did try to do what I'm doing on other blockchains. In the past 10 years, especially in our space, I think we have a much higher average of readers than in the real world, right? But at the same time, a lot of people don't want to waste when they're doing crypto stuff. Do they want to read? A lot of people read white papers. They read analysis on stuff. But in general, a lot of people here are very educated, very smart.
Yeah.
And they've read very important book, and they want those educated, or those books or texts, or to be preserved forever, right? Or to give the best shot at it, aka being stored on the Bitcoin blockchain. And that's where right now we don't have many books on Inscripedia. A lot of people don't even know it's live, because we were supposed to launch the season 0 and Inscripedia.com at the same time, but we launched Inscripedia first, just because there's always some bugs you cannot plan in advance. But we don't have the Bible yet. We don't have the Quran, the Torah. But I think the moment they will be out, we have many ideas to also ourselves publish it, for free, open edition. Anybody can have a copy, because the more copies of a book there is, the hardest it will be to, like, let's say hypothetically it would get hacked, but if there's 100,000 copies of the Bible, it will be very hard to, like, hack. I mean, the second Bitcoin is hacked, it loses a lot of its value, and all the value comes from the underlying Bitcoin security.
Mm-hmm.
But the more copy there is, the more secure you also make it, like, to have
Right.
a preserved version of your book. And religious texts are a great example of books that will be put onto Inscripedia pretty soon.
So if they're like, let's say 1,000 inscriptions of like the Bible, for example, do you use like a delegate system to kind of point to the original inscription, and then people essentially get a copy, or how do you do 1,000 inscriptions of the Bible, for example?
I mean, exactly. So we use delegate. We have the first inscription that does cost a lot because it's a pretty big book.
Yep.
But after that one, whatever the size of the book is, every delegate is just a link to the original book, which is one link. So, like, doesn't matter the size of the original book.
Yep.
And then there you can have as many copy as you want, pretty much. And that's how we do it. That's why, for me, for example, the moment right now our fees are pretty low, but the moment that fees will rise back up to 200, that's why BRC20s used to be also so popular back then, because even with fees extremely high, BRC20s are like one line of like 4 lines.
Yep.
5 lines, and it's very cheap to inscribe them. And books, it will be the same. If you inscribe once your book, then let's say I launch a book and then I make it like 100, no matter the number of copies, it's delegate, right? So I just need to inscribe once the book, make one big payment, then 999 copies using delegate, which is like $2 or less. And books will be an extremely good ordinal to be traded with when fees will rise back up.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, I'm curious. Will there be other, I guess, mediums of content potentially added in down the line beyond books? Maybe like like different Medium posts. Maybe people like blog posts. People like to reference those as like very notable moments in maybe specifically in the crypto space, like different little
it's
blog
a good
entries.
idea.
Or maybe tweets themselves, something like that, right? Just to broaden the spectrum of like written content that can be part of this platform.
Like a manifesto.
Right.
A declaration.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. That actually is one of the purposes of Inscripedia. I know right now we're more using the book narrative, but our goal is to have any text inscription,
Makes sense.
Like every like manifesto, like even a poem, one is a quote has its place on Inscripedia. But for that, we do need to improve the platform. One idea we have at Inscripedia is we want to have, for example, your profile right now is pretty basic, right? But we want to have a on Inscripedia, your profile look very like blogish, So let's say like I could have like Jiurn, and I would have like my books that I've like either minted out, whatever. Then you could see the books that I own, and then you could personalize. Like we want to make something with much better experience, So like you could have a blob because you could just inscribe it, and then you could just add it to your like. You can have this is like my weekly newsletter, and then you could like yourself put it and blah blah blah, and super, and that would be like, so instead of like like being on the timeline, you could just have and your profile inscripedia.com/Jiurn/Iman, and you would have access to you could just inscripedia.com/Iman. You would see everything of Inscribe. You could like a little bit like YouTube stuff, because YouTube for me is a great example of a great inspiration too for Inscripedia. And we want to like improve every aspect, like Inscripedia, we want to take over like the publishing industry. And for that, we have a lot to improve in the next decade. And that's one of them,
Yeah, I think it's for some reason, I don't know why, I'm like brainstorming here of like an AI incorporation to all this, just for, I don't know why. I just all of a sudden started thinking of like governance implications, just because I like to do that, of like, figuring out, discovering new models as far as like identifying like actual participants of a decentralized network, like who's actually doing the proper due diligence to like be well informed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see us like leveraging this, right? Like, like you're saying, like update posts about like, some protocol updates or like what's happening in the network, the ecosystem, whatever. Like it's important for people to be actually digest this content and not just like ignore it, because then they're uninformed voters at the end of the day, right? Once we actually could put like governance tools in their hands.
Yeah.
So like some sort of AI tool that is probably like actually able to identify if they're actually reading the content, like through your platform or other platforms, right? As opposed to just if it's just like a mint, it's like there's 100 of these, so whoever claims 100 of these like update posts, like that's your validation.
Yeah.
Most likely those claimers didn't actually read anything; they just minted an article, right? But like there's some sort of way to like actually, I don't want to say track your eyeballs, but maybe that is the way. You slap on your Apple Vision Pro, it already does that anyways, right? So you're like reading a document and it's like, okay, this guy actually read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now he can mint something like that, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, very interesting, because eventually books are the only art that is still more like popular in physical format than digital, right?
Yeah.
Even I have hundreds of books, I have hundreds of mangas. I'm a big manga reader, and I just generally prefer to read them in physical rather than digital. So, for example, I know that until I'm not satisfied with the product, I don't expect anybody else to, but digitally you can actually improve and create so many new experiences, like the eyeball. I thought of this, but for like music, for example, if you could read the music and then there's like music in the background, physical books cannot have that. Or any book, AI could automatically just translate everything. There's many ways, or do the whole metaverse in the future. The like meta or like metaverses will need books, like if like, and you will need to have something. So if Inscripedia, we do like, I'm sure we'll do it, but like, we need books. So who's better than like the guy has been there for years, when that would be more like common, and we would be like, fair, and people would trust our brand, and then we'd be like, well, we should work with Inscribedia. That's the goal, to work with companies. And we want to have books, but we have all the books available, and you can easily just, with Apple Vision, just take it, read it, and we would have the best format, we would have the best standards, we would have the best books, the reputation. And because, so why not work with us, especially if we're like decentralized, permissionless, we have we have like years of backing, we have like the people's trust, we have the good values. So like the goal is like our company can work with the metaverse logic. Like we have short-term incentives, mid-term incentives, and long-term incentives. We have plans to go on with the metaverse, and from starting tomorrow with the mint. As you guys know, we have like already pretty nice incentive in the coming days post mint, and we have ideas until the metaverse and even forward. Like there's so much that can be done. The book industry has been late. Like it's the only industry that, it has been sold more physically copies and digital. Like it's so late on everything, and that's why Inscripedia needs to really change everything, because there's so much potential. Books is $150 billion industry. It's worth more than like pretty much any other art industry. But people, they're like, oh, who read books? Who will read books for the rest of our lives and of every future generation? It's the whole principle of reading, But now we gotta just make it a bit more fun. How did movies come from CD to Blu-ray now to Netflix? Music went from discs to Spotify, video, live, everything changed, but not books. That's where Inscription will come in play. We're going to change the whole book meta.
Yeah, I think is a great introduction, right? Because we actively on this channel, and like for the last several years, our objective is always to like find these underappreciated or just like
Yeah.
whatever, just lacking like sectors of the market that, you know, people just at one point in time we thought, or at least I did, I thought music was going to take like a big like front and center stage position at some point, like
Right.
within the NFT discussion. It looked like it was on its way, right? But it just never really happened.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I don't know if there's like too many complexities behind that, which I don't understand the music industry. You know, we probably need like an actual artist who has like dealt with that demon to be like, this is why it's harder than it sounds, right? And maybe the publishing industry has like similarities as far as like, you know, actual complexities when it comes to like, you know, supporting the authors and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see this as a very important primitive to like introduce because there's so many ways it could be leveraged, right? Just having like like you're saying, like an open source like library of now like, you know, third party contributors can take these new narratives, this new lore, and like contribute to it with like visual content on top of it, right? You could build like an actual layer of additional video publishing that's referencing like the written content and build like a whole an ecosystem with like multi creators,
Yeah.
and maybe like a royalty system within this whole thing, so everybody is like
incentivized
to build together like this, like an actual, maybe like a new education model, right? And then the output of that is like something kids can actually, because like we're talking about, you know, kids these days, they have really bad attention spans.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to read stuff because, you know, they're busy on TikTok all day or Roblox or whatever, right? So they're visual stimulated like constantly. So to put written text in front of them, it's a challenge, right? But it's not impossible, but it's more challenging than it was back in the day. But the point is to enable like this open source network, similar to how like AI is like now this open source network. Everybody's trying to contribute it and like expand and evolve it into like a new direction, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a good like first primitive layer to like, you know, create more
complexities on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Also, I was thinking about this, Jiurn. You know, you should consider another method for people to mint where the minters have like an encrypted access to the data itself. So maybe there's like a creator out there that wants to provide some sort of like text art that only the minters could see. And so the way the way that you would do that is you'd still have to rely on a trusted third party, which would be you, Jiurn. But the way that would work is your backend system would encrypt it with your backend private key, right? So only you guys can see the data. But then you would encrypt it with the private key of the minters. So you would take their public address and use that as the asymmetric key to encrypt the data. And then when they mint that asset, that private key can decrypt that data so they can actually read it on your platform. And only they could read it because they have the private key.
Wow, that's
right?
pretty cool.
And so and then because you have an indexer, anytime that this guy sells that asset, he can no longer read it because it's been re-encrypted with the private key of the existing owner. And so now you have like private messaging happening on your platform where only the minters can read the data.
I mean, this is a pretty good idea. And a lot of people did, you know, ask us, you know, that was like a weak point of Inscripedia at first, according to a lot of people, is like, why would I, you know, inscribe a book, and why would I want to buy it if anyone can read it, you know?
Sure.
And I'm like, well, in the crypto industry, that's not true. You know, it's not because I can use delegate and inscribe your node monkeys that it's valuable. Therefore, you know, the value is not like looking at it, it's by owning it.
That's right.
And in many ordinal, you know, like assets, it's the same logic. Like, season 0, anyone can read it, but there's still people that want to buy it because they will be the only ones that will truly own one of the assets. But in the future, many people, you know, like one of my goals is how Spotify fixed the whole piracy problem created by Pirate Bay and stuff was by creating Spotify, because everybody was pirating music and stuff. And books, it's kind of similar. The manga industry, more than half of the manga industry is going to pirate because everybody just scans the books, put it online, and everybody reads mangas online illegally. And more than and like the manga industry is like 6 billion a year, and more than half is going to pirates, you know.
Yeah.
And they want to fix that, you know. And you know, I was thinking of maybe doing something similar, like a kind of Spotify that would be like right in many more years, Spotify on Bitcoin, and like anyone can just, you know, read the book, the new One Piece chapter, because it will still be going on in 5 years, hopefully. And then anybody can just, you know, we will pay the creator accordingly, but that will be fair, it will be transparent and everything. But then they're like, oh, why would we buy the volume if it's available to anyone, you know? I mean, ultimately, considering that we're giving 100% of the mint revenue, it would be cool that, you know, like even if you have like 5 times less sales, there's if you make like 100%, you might make even more money. Like most authors only make 5% of their book sell like revenue. If a book sells for like $20, if they're lucky, they make like $1 or $2. So if they make 5 times less sales, but they make 20 times more money, then they will make like 4 times more money, or like twice if they make like, you know, that is the point ultimately. And then we're not even talking about royalties, you know, like we want to create a whole system of like, you know, with a library that would be on-chain, and you could like rent books, stuff. We have like many things down the line, and it's extremely exciting. And we were thinking of, like, once Bitcoin was created, Monero was created shortly afterwards, because a lot of people want privacy. Transparency is very important in most cases, but sometimes, you know, you don't want to say everything. People should have the choice. So it will be added as a feature, pretty sure, that people, if they want to have like just sell a book privately and to read it, you need to own it. If people ask for it, you know, we're here for the people, and we will gladly add a feature at some point. But we do want to put as many books as possible in a transparent manner, because we think that everybody deserves the right to read a book. And so that's kind of our philosophy. But, you know, gotta listen to the people, and what they wishes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's just an additional market of, like, let's say there's an influencer who does like crypto calls, and he's selling, because ultimately selling books is just selling access to information. So in this case, it's information that's sort of like relevant in real time. So that's like, hey, here are my 6 calls in crypto that are going to make you a millionaire, for example. And I have a mint of 100, and only the 100 people who mint it can have access to the 6 crypto calls, right? And so you do that on a weekly basis to kind of support the guy who's doing the calls, and, you know, allow him to do the research, and you just pay for that research, right? And so I think that there is a market for something like that, especially coming up with this bull cycle.
Yeah, tell us a bit about this thing that's launching tomorrow. It's Casey Rodarmor's book of some kind, right? What's the details of like the content? What is
season 0?
Yeah, so basically, you know, when we like to work with, we wanted to start with a banger, right? We were like, I really want people to talk about Inscripedia, and as I said earlier, I know a lot of people could be interested in Inscripedia, but if they don't hear of Inscripedia, then they will not care. You know, we need to create incentives for people, and that's why we wanted to create a collection so people can like speculate on, and you know, create a first like very popular book collection that we know we will or might use it for like future job, like, you know, and reward the people in some ways or another. And they were like, okay, who to start with? And last year in Singapore, I talked about with Casey about Inscripedia, you know, his first public appearance in Token 2049. And we were like, we talked about it. He was like, at first he was quite reticent, because like decentralization is very hard. True decentralization. And he like, if Google tomorrow removes us, like we will lose 90% of our like people, you know, like, or like if you Google Inscription and nothing comes up, then a lot of Web2 people will just give up, right? And you know, it's very hard to like truly be decentralized. and everything. So he was like, yo, he was like, good luck, you know what? And then I thought with Ralph and other people, and like, hey, the idea is good, but now you gotta build it, right? Like a lot of people have great ideas, but what matters is that it's built. So then I kind of grew more Jiurn. I've always had Inscripedia in mind. So at some point, I hired people to start working on it. More than 6 months ago, we had so many problems. They were not very good devs. They were not doing their job right. I did a lot of mistakes because, like I sent the money first, stuff like that. So like they had all the power, like first time founder, like entrepreneur kind of thing. And I've learned a lot from these mistakes. And we kind of redid it. And then in May this year, for Ordinals Asia, I saw Casey again. And then I was like, yo, bro, like we're really close to the launch. And then I'm like, hey, like you have those stories. I knew he had like 5 fiction stories.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, hey, can I use them, for my collection or whatever? I thought with Aaron, blah blah, everything was good. And then I was like, hey, for example, can I pay you? Because like, it's you're writing. At first he didn't want to be remunerated because even though it's his artwork, it's his writings, he's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want people expecting stuff from me. Like, don't expect like a memento mori rune or whatever from him.
Yeah.
And then I thought with Aaron, and they were like, yeah, I mean, and we talked, and that's how we came up with like the 20%. First, they were like they would like if everybody just gave 10% of their mint to the Ordinals Foundation, because like, it's because of them that that all of this is possible. But I decided to give a bit more. And even though we make a pretty small mint, like pretty low, relatively low supply, very low mint price, we at the end, the goal is to really spread the narrative, start with a banger, continue with bangers, create more opportunities, give more incentives, create something reliable, and truly have a platform that answers to people's needs. And that's what we're doing at Incripedia. That's what the mint tomorrow is about. It's truly the start of, like, I like to call it like true decentralization. And if you care about freedom of speech and everything, this is the beginning of it all. And I'm very excited. Less than 24 hours. Like now I'm on here, but like I have my brother, my co-founder, who's a dev, working on this. All the other devs, and like it's something.
Yeah, we're looking at it like right here on our laptop, just sifting through the platform, looking at Casey's different books and stuff, and to me this looks very clean and user friendly and intuitive, like how to like kind of like go through different, essentially like projects, book projects, publishing projects, whatever, right? So I can see like a future where, when there's a mass quantity of these to kind of like sift through, it becomes like a very like maybe like an addictive type experience, right? Just like you're sifting through like a huge, seems like never ending supply of art.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there is a little bit of art incorporated in this too, like in the book covers too. Like that is like an eye grabber, right? Like, so for these publishers, like that's part of the task, right? It's create like a good, just like any book, right? You create a good cover, album cover, like that is the thing that's gonna grab your attention, pull you in. And then like the actual act of reading through the content, like obviously that's good from like a platform perspective. Like you're retaining their eyeballs on your platform for a large amount of time, right? So now you can like inject so many different like other additional value adds because of that, right?
So minting season 0, you get the 5 books that are associated with Casey's collection.
No, so basically we have a supply of 3,000 with different rarities. Common, rare, epic, legendary, and when you buy, you just get randomly one of the 5.
I see.
They all have, so like common, there's like 1,500. Uncommon, there's 900. Rare, there's 540. Epic, there's 180, and legendary, there's only 60, and that's like 2% of the supply. And basically, you just mint and you randomly get one of them, and by the cover. They all contain a different story.
Yeah.
And that is the whole purpose. So you just it's a random mint. Like you just mint, and then if you're lucky, you have a rarer, and if not, you have a common, which are very good stories too, and good to have. But like, I know a lot of people, they want the Wonko Monko one, especially considering it's one of the most popular memes.
Is that the rare one?
That's a legendary one.
Oh,
the most
rare. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
60 supply. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea to incorporate like rarity to this. Now it's like, if I'm a book publisher, I'm gonna like chop up all my chapters.
Yeah.
Like and give them again like individual cover pieces, and have my own rarity for the whole book, right? Like now, like I said, that's you've injected a new like a new thing to add value to like the book itself, which I think is very good idea. Yeah, we definitely. You said Metaverse earlier as like books. Books will definitely be needed in the Metaverse. We totally agree with you. Like everything, I think, has its place in the Metaverse context of things. So I could already see where these can become like major flex pieces, just like art, just like avatars, wearables, everything, right? Like the books you own can also be properly displayed and like readable, engageable content within the Metaverse context and the framework of that. So we definitely like to talk to you about how we can actually enable that, because we have a architecture that can support it. But yeah, just curious your thoughts around like the because you're well versed, well understood about like the entire Ordinals ecosystem. Like, what have you had your own thoughts about how to incorporate all this in the Metaverse yourself?
I mean, yes. For me, the Metaverse is inevitable. First of all, I am sure we're gonna get, like just recently with the glasses, it's steps. As we know, I do remember the first Google glasses, like 8 years ago or something, and they didn't work really well, and we had the VR. I have some VR glasses from Samsung, and then tech is improving. It's it's fine. That's how that's how life works. So for me, how I imagine is the Metaverse. There's so many ways to imagine it. Like Ready Player One. That is like the end goal, in my opinion. Is like you have like a truly immersive experience that like you do see yourself, with the glasses or anything, and you have something brand new. So like imagine if you like there's been so many different versions of the Metaverse. Like when the other side by Yuga Labs dropped, and you're like, oh, the Bored Ape land is worth more than the mutant, is worth more than normal, and there's the Coda, blah 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 blah. And that's how they viewed it, right? Like you would be like in a street, and there would be like some neighborhoods worth more. That's a good thesis, it's or like other people were like, oh, there's mini metaverse, and they will all be linked together, and some metaverse will be worth more, some land plots, and within those land plots, maybe like you will have like figurines outside. Like I'm a very big fan of VV, so like back in the days, a lot of people were talking about like VVverse, like you would like just show up like, oh, the first Superman on the blockchain, blah blah, and then like there's so many different ways to imagine the Metaverse, and for me, I see books being relevant in all of them. There's very few things cleaner than a very beautiful bookshelf. We'll be honest, like beautiful bookshelf, and that's why some people are like, oh, I don't like the Kindle, because it looks so boring. You have one thing, before you had like 100 books beautifully put, and then you have like a Kindle. I'm like, yeah, but ironically enough, like the Metaverse will bring back that bookshelf. Imagine if you had like, you put your Metaverse now, you can like flex. You have like very important books, first editions, or like season 0 mini stuff, and then you're like, yeah, I own them, and like they're mine. And then you have like on-chain like luxury items, and but that's one way I would see, just in general, just are here, you're using the Metaverse, they're using like Bitcoin, and then you're like, hey, I want to read a book, and which book would that be? Inscripedia. Inscripedia will be the one relaying all the books because, we were working hard on creating a trustable platform. If we make it fair, we make it good for everyone, then we don't see why people wouldn't use our platform. We need to create incentives, a strong community, give good values and be adopted by the real world, and once this happens, we see ourselves being like the main publisher. And we're like, hey, yeah, you have the book. Then you would see like, hey, any book like Frankenstein, you just take it, you start reading it, and it's the book that you use. Like you need somebody to like give the text and to give the books. And who's better than the platform that's been doing that for like almost a decade now, right? And so like you're using that, we'll be evolving with the metaverse, of course. And I just say like you need a provider for all of those things, and Inscription will be the provider for books.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to work together because I totally agree. I think it's very efficient to have like a Kindle and you have like 1,000 books in your Kindle, but there's no ability to flex of like of which books you have. Right. And so the best way to do that is to do it in the metaverse.
Yeah, I think he described like the perfect meta essentially.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The bookcase, like we could literally build that as an application that is installable on your Bitmap parcel.
We absolutely need to do that, Jiurn, and make this like sort of like an application that people can deploy, and then whenever they have like one of these like Inscripedia books, you can actually showcase that inside the matrix that we just launched a few weeks ago,
and have it be an interactive experience, right? Like pick the book off the shelf and it's literally right there. You're reading it. It's and that is like the flexing grounds for this entire like asset class, right?
What matters for me is the experience. In real life books, sometimes I'm the guy, I open a book, and when it's old and you smell it, you're like, I feel good. Like I genuinely feel good. Or when you see like old paper and you're like, or just like, I love some books. Like for me, like I collect old French comic books, and they have like some, like for me, some edition I love, like Rombaldi and stuff. Like I just love collecting them because for me, they're so beautiful. And we might not be able to recreate every experience you have in real life books, but the goal is also to create new types of experiences, right? Some you can recreate, sure, but some you need to create new ones, and it's 100% possible. And the same way we feel good when we smell the author of a old book, the same way, like, in 10 years somebody could feel good with an experience we would provide them with these books on the metaverse.
I totally agree. I mean, these could be like literally portals to entire like virtual immersive experiences, right? Like which you can't do in the physical book world, right? Like you can't like
so true
open a book and now you're like actually in the book, but you can do that in the metaverse, right? You just pick a book off the shelf and now you have a full access to like this really like psychedelic experience essentially. Like holy shit, I just portaled to a new dimension, right?
I see so many ways to improve the reading experience, just with and that's just for now with the music fight, the like you said earlier, you can, your eyes can follow where you are, and then you can create maybe like some little images. Like there's so many ways to improve the physical book reading experience that it's limitless almost. Like that's why I'm so excited. Like now work on Inscribedia, but the potential of it, is incredible. Short term, midterm, and long term.
Yeah,
I have a question. I'm going through some of your tweets, and there's this concept of like announcing a new pen pal. Do you want to describe exactly what a pen pal is and how projects can work with you?
Yeah, I mean, for now, pen pals are just, like a pen pal is somebody just write to each other, so that's pretty much that's the name I decided for, like, author, because like the goal is that an author can like write a book, publish it on Inscripedia, mint out, receive the money, blah blah, without us even knowing he did it, right? That is a goal. But some people want to launch officially with Inscripedia, and have co-marketing, whatever. It's still Web3, it's 2024. That's how it works right now. That's how we're gonna do it. And so we have like a couple of projects that want to collab, launch a book with us, launch something. Like for now, our first two pen pals, Airhead and Opal protocol, BeLife protocol are just, we're working on some stuff together. Like with Airhead, we're working like on a book that would include a seed phrase, will be like hidden, a seed phrase, and then you could win a one-on-one Airhead from their collection. And also every book you have, up to a limit, gives you some XP to have to maybe have a whitelist, right? Because that's how the Airhead whitelist mechanism works, is you need to have the more XP you have, the more likely, the higher your tier of your Airhead, and the higher chance you have to have one, blah, blah, blah. So like you need to gather XP to have a whitelist, and by holding and minting a book, you get an XP and a couple, whatever. And for BeLife, it's something pretty similar. Cannot say too much yet. We're working on many things to really create some hype, make it fun. And yeah, we've been working with a very interesting project. We have a bunch more to announce, but that's pretty much just it for now. Pen pals or project that we like launch together, especially for like big names, right? That want to have we help each other.
Yeah, the idea of putting a seed phrase kind of hidden in there is pretty interesting, because that gives an opportunity for people to go and like hunt for this stuff, right?
Exactly, So like even though anybody can read it, you don't need to pay for it, but at the same time you get an XP, and then it's a free mint, right? So like why not mint it? And because you have XP, blah blah, incentives, and then like maybe it's better to read it like on your Xverse. And imagine if you own the one and blah blah. Like it's just we made it fun, right? That is the goal. That with Airhead, like be fat or die trying, and like it's like just have fun, and we're trying to just make people understand that books are also like an excellent way for project to really expand their ecosystem without diluting it. I'm not sure if I'm being like understandable. Like imagine if tomorrow for emojis launch another PFP, it would be dilution. People would consider that dilution the same way like OMBs when they launch in another collection is
right. Yeah,
plain and simple dilution.
Like a
but if they were to drop a book, nobody would be like, oh, you're diluting your collection. Oh no, it's just a collectible of the Ordinal Maxi Biz. They have a book, so like if they were to inscribe it, nobody would, oh, you're diluting the project. No, I'm just adding a new asset. We could airdrop it, we could mint it for free, or blah, just another marketing stunt, blah blah. So there's so many utilities. Utility to books in the ecosystem. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking to our like DMT community about that, because we have like a mechanism built into the framework of the protocol where community can essentially contribute to the original collection base, right, through block drops. So books make a lot of sense, like you're saying, like there's already an IP, right? Like it's the Royals, it's Nat Cats, whatever, right? So, but there's no like lore, there's no like story behind all these different creations, right? So artists, writers, they could just, why not publish something on Inscripedia and block drop this to the holders of a Nat Cat, and this becomes like the lore.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah, I love that idea actually. So yeah, I think this is very important, like potential, I think like creativity infrastructure, right? Which is I mean, at this day, it's sorely needed, I guess, because I mean the market is sort of like right now the pendulum. I'm sure you're paying attention. It's all meme magic today, so it's like, don't tell me about like anything complex. Don't tell me about any like actual product.
Like utilities. Ew.
Yeah. I just all I need is like something funny or something to vibe or resonate with, and a token to mint, right? So that's where the market is now, but it's gonna exhaust, as we all know. At some point, people are gonna like, you know what, this is actually crazy. So let's rediscover like the new inspiring verticals, the new creative initiatives, like this. This is new stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, so just I guess because we don't have much time, end it off like with your take on everything, where the market is today in context of memes, and you guys who are building like an actual consumer market. Like, how do you actually find the product market fit for that?
I mean, exactly. So right now, in as a the market as a whole, for the last decade, we know every time there's new meta. 2017 was ICOs, a lot of very big projects from them, Ripple, Cardano, and many more. And then 2020, 2021, 2022, DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse, gaming. There's always like new shiny object that really attract people. And people now are just bored, in my opinion. And they need that, like you said earlier, to have a short attention span. So like just memes, are fun. That's the like whole principle of memes. And then like, why not make money out of memes? And you take a meme and then you give it a speculative way to like trade it. You add and you create a money aligned opportunity alongside the meme, which I think will like memes and meme coins that could go very long with it. Like I think this cycle they will be relevant. I think they will always in a way be relevant. But as the market, like the market as a whole, is not very mature, in my opinion, for now. That's why everybody cares more only pretty much about money aligned opportunities. And we pretty much all know that. Like if either you create a product that creates speculation or you create an asset that creates speculation. Right now, those are the two only things that truly work. Either you create a pump fund or you create a meme coin, something and just people can speculate, trade on, and then a lot of insiders. If you know the people, you know how it works, blah blah blah. And for me, we're kind of like, it reminds me of Web 1, where like it was internet with only publicities. Nobody cared because there was nothing to do. There was a lot of like rich people on there, but like because it was only ads and stuff, nobody cared. But it was when Web 2 started, the pivot, became from an immature market to like internet to then became like, Google, Yahoo. Now social media were created. It's not a human need to have a Facebook and Instagram. It's a problem that they caused and they fixed. Like it didn't exist before, and if it didn't exist, we might not realize it. That we need a way to like show off whatever. I mean, it does align with some of our human values, like to flex and like just look at pretty women. But in general, like Web 2 created stuff, and nobody is on YouTube. And a couple of people are YouTube to make money, but 99% of users are YouTube to have fun. That's why like money matters, but like if I had the choice between money and like my wife and like my future wife and children, the question like it's like a lot of people like obviously the wife and children, and a lot of people in a space sometimes it's so much of an echo chamber. People care so much about money that sometimes you forget that it's not only about money. And in the real life, most people don't come because money is not a big enough incentive to use this. But once they have way to have fun, or like, yeah, of course it will come, But for now, trading meme coins is not fun for 99.9% of the people in the world. So right now we're in a very immature market. Slowly but surely we'll go in a more mature market once people like become just they cannot anymore with this always running meme coin and stuff. And one time we will create services that people will be able to enjoy genuinely without any money aligned incentives. And that's when we have a bear market. And that's why in Inscripedia, we're aware of both. We are aware how the market is right now, and we're aware where the market is going. That's why we're genuinely building a true product. And when people will come, they will be like, oh my God, this has been here for like 2-3 years and blah, blah. And also at the same time, we are, right now we're in a market with a lot of speculation. That's why we're creating opportunity, because we know we genuinely cannot survive in this market if you don't create like speculative assets. So it's a balance of both, being aware. I don't like using the term, but it's like we're heading towards Web 4, which is like utilize Web 3 technology for and genuine like usefulness, like products, useful products. That's how I see it. But I'd be no good. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game. I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
We're definitely aligned.
Yeah, we understand. We're dealing with the same also because, our fixation is delivering actual substantial products to the market, right? Specifically in the context of the metaverse, they take a lot of development effort. There's a lot of cost, a lot of ingenuity, a lot of creativity to produce these things. And it just doesn't really align with the ethos of today where people expect everything to just be free, right? It just doesn't make sense. That doesn't support creators. That doesn't support engineers, developers. Therefore, you're never going to get a real metaverse produced, right?
That's right.
Until that ethos, that alignment is more recentered to like the reality of the situation, after like the today's sentiment is exhausted and then it becomes unsustainable, people realize, shit, that wasn't the way. Like that's whenever we Web4, that's interesting. I didn't know there was a name for it. But to us, you're right. That's the product era, right? That's where like this industry actually starts to make sense and look like we're doing some good.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, Jiurn, thank you so much for your time, man. This has been a very interesting conversation talking about Inscripedia. For all the people that are listening, definitely go to Inscripedia.com. And there is a season 0 tomorrow, Casey's collection, that's going to be minting. And I think the price is 0.00069. Very nice.
Very good price. Very good.
$45 in US dollars.
Okay, right on.
Awesome, dude. So again, Jiurn, thank you so much for your time, man. Let's have you come back on whenever we get more books in there, and hopefully we can work together to get a bookshelf application deployable in the metaverse here pretty soon.
100%, guys. Let's talk. Have a call maybe to discuss just focus on the metaverse, X Inscripedia. And after tomorrow's mint, I should have a bit more free time, but still, always a pleasure to talk with you guys. Again, let's chat the usual. Thanks a lot, guys, to bring me on. It's always a pleasure to just talk about my dream project, my dream company, man. So, and to talk about everything going on. So, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep up the good work for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for your time, and everybody. Thank you guys for listening. And again, Inscripedia.com. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.